my first tips are going to be about setting up your classroom, the things that are important, the things that you don't really need to think about just yet, and then the other things are just kind of like, hey, think about this to try and make your life easier as a new teacher. Hi everybody, and welcome back to the Caffeinated Classroom. I am Marie. If this is your first time here, I am a high school English language arts teacher, but I have taught a lot of different things, including grades TK through 5, elective like STEM and visual performing arts. I was also a drama teacher. I've been around the block a couple times, and I've been a teacher for longer than many might think. And so I am really excited for today's video because this is an awesome collaboration started by Chelsea from Teaching in Pearls and Vanessa from My Second Grade Life. They had this great idea that a bunch of us all compile our top 10 tips for new teachers and put them all together, publish them all on the same day, and that is what you are currently watching now. So when you're done watching this one, make sure you take a look down below so you can see all of the other videos that are linked in as a part of this little collaboration. I think it's going to be really awesome. If you're a new teacher, if you are going to a new school, if you are like me, and I'm going back to my same school that I taught at for a decade, but I was on special assignment for 2 years, so I almost feel like a new teacher again. I'm moving into a new classroom that I've never taught in. I'm teaching English, which I haven't taught for a while because I was a drama teacher before this special position. So I kind of feel you. There's a lot of apprehension. There's a lot of anxiety that comes with starting a new school year for anybody, but especially if you are new. So let's get started. So my tips are going to be a little bit different, I think, than some others. When I think of, okay, what would have wanted to know when I was a new teacher? Yeah, it has a lot to do with like curriculum and lesson planning and that sort of thing. But really the stuff that like kept me up at night was like thinking I was going to do something wrong and like how to set up my room so that it actually like functioned as a good operating classroom. So that's what a lot of my tips are about. Let's get started. My first 4 are all about room setup. So number 1, when you are setting up your classroom, the very first thing you should do, you're going to want to do cute bulletin boards. You're going to want to do like decorative stuff. The very first thing you should do is organize your teacher desk in your teacher desk area. And I will tell you why. You need to make sure that you've got places for all of the paperwork that comes in, like when you get new students, just when you start at a new school, you need to have a kind of a filing system in place. It might not be the filing system that you end up with like forever, but at least get yourself kind of set up there. You're gonna need to know where all of your school supplies are. Like the things that seem so simple, but are so easy to forget. Your stapler. Make sure you've got staples for your stapler, especially when you start moving on to putting up your bulletin boards. Tape. Oh my gosh. The number of times that I had like 3 tape dispensers and no tape to go in them made me insane. So get your teacher's desk area sorted out first. Have a place to put your personal bag, your lunch, your keys, your cell phone, things like that. If you're a high school teacher or even a middle school teacher like me, you teach older kids, something to think about is like, are you gonna have to lock up your stuff? I think the primary grades, that's not too much of a concern in a lot of places, but like older kids, you know, it's just part of the territory. They're growing up and they're learning how to be. So you kind of have to like figure out what you're gonna do with that sort of thing. A second thing you should do kind of goes along with that, and I mentioned this a little bit, but you need to have at least 2 filing systems. One filing for like paperwork, for actual physical paperwork, because even though it is the digital age, you're gonna get a lot of stuff, you're gonna get a lot of paper, and you're going to need to keep it. Like don't shred it, don't throw it away. There isn't always a digital copy, because not all schools, not all just even like government agencies are all caught up completely. My school district still does our like absence forms in triplicate. So like it's on carbon paper. Everything else is digitized but our absences. And we have to sign them, and then our administrator has to sign off, and then you get a copy and we get the goldenrod one. But anyways, keep stuff. Have one filing system that is right at hand, that is right at your desk. Maybe it's on top of your desk. Maybe you have one of those desk drawers that you can like file things in there. It might be better to be able to lock it up because you're gonna get paperwork for kids who have allergies. You're going to get IEPs and 504 and different special ed paperwork. You're going to get a lot of different things that might be sensitive materials that you need to be able to lock up. But whatever that is, you need to make sure that it's somewhere in your teacher desk area so you have it on hand. The other thing that you're going to want is just like straight up storage, like the big, huge filing system. I wouldn't keep those together just because that's a lot of bulk to have around your teacher desk area where you're kind of wanting to get in and out quickly. But like curriculum files and that sort of thing, you can just keep in a corner of the room where you don't need to access it a whole lot. Make sure though that you have 2 different filing systems. My third tip is to have a place for your personal items and your own personal like teacher office supplies. The things that kids are not going to have their hands on necessarily, like your own stapler, your own tape, your own paper clips and your pens. This is me kind of gross. I used to get so sick all the time when I was first teaching, and that's for a bunch of different reasons, but a big part of that was because I used to let kids use my pencils and my pens and my highlighters. And it was gross because no matter how many times I wash my hands, all of those germs just spread and spread and spread. And so I finally took my like jar of pens and pencils from the edge of my desk and put it behind me, away from the middle of the room. It alleviated a lot of the germs circling through my body. It just made things a lot more sanitary, and it made kids like bring their own pens. I totally wanted to be that teacher who like provided children with pencils and stuff. And then I started to realize like I'm teaching teenagers. I need to teach them how to be prepared for life. Bring your own stinking pens and pencils, kids. It's really not that hard. Anyways, sorry, soapbox moment. Okay, my fourth tip is as you are getting into decorating and you're getting into like if you are like me and you really want to like make that space your own, make it comfortable, but at the very beginning of the year, don't go all out. Just make it the way you want it to feel and kind of the way you want it to look, but give yourself room to grow. Give yourself room to grow into the space. Give yourself room to come up with ideas so that you don't have this like thing that you slap up on the wall just so that something's there, and then all of a sudden you start teaching and you go, oh man, now I have to take that down because I just had the best idea ever. Like, it's okay to just have a bulletin board that's covered with a border and that's it. Or that just says, huge letters, welcome back students. Like, it doesn't all have to be the best, most Pinteresty looking thing you've ever seen, because you need to be able to grow into it and you need to be able to give yourself room to breathe. And it is really not the most important thing. I know it feels like the most important thing and you want everything to be perfect for kids the first day of school, but guess what? It's okay if then the second week of school, whoop, there's something new in the room and then there's something more interesting to look at. Or the second month of school, oh my gosh, there's a whole new display that I can look at because my teachers had time to calm down and to like figure out exactly what you're going to be teaching, not just the first 2 weeks of school, but like for the whole entire year, and then find something that will really be decorative and function for your class and for you and like how your classroom is going to work. Okay. So number 4 is make it comfortable, but leave yourself space. Number 5, this starts to get into teacher self-care. If you feel a tickle in your throat, and I mean even the slightest little anything, I want you to stop whatever you're doing. Well, as long as you're not during contract hours. If it's during contract hours, finish the school day. Then I want you to stop whatever you're doing and go right to bed. Like maybe chug some water, but then just go to bed, go to sleep. The only thing that is going to make you heal and not get sick if you are getting sick is sleep. Yeah, you're going to want to power through. Yeah, you're going to want to be like, no, I'll just grade these papers. Guess what? The papers can wait. They can wait until tomorrow morning when you feel better and you can wake up a little bit early and grade them then. Or nobody ever died from an essay being a half a day later than it was supposed to be put in the computer. It's going to be okay. But guess what's really going to stink? It's really going to stink if you don't get to grade your papers because you have a really high fever, and then you have to write subplans, and then you get sicker and sicker, and it just like snowballs. But just heed my warning. If you feel a tickle in your throat, or if you start to feel like you're coming down with something, go to bed. Like, drop what you're doing and go to sleep. You're going to thank yourself when you feel better, and then you can continue your job. Teaching is not a job where you can like muscle through for very long. You need to be able to have your wits about you, and you need to have your strength. Like, it's just, even sitting down and like talking to kids, there are so many different things that you're doing all at once, and you're responsible for all of these bodies in the room and all of their behaviors and everything that they're going through and thinking all is on your shoulders for that time that they're in your classroom. So like, give yourself a break and just go to bed. Don't get sick. It's not worth it. Number 6. Oh, my husband and I are both teachers, and I was like asking about what he would say for this. And he said that everybody should know that your Sunday is just going to be a work day. Like for a while, for your first few years teaching, until you really get a hang for it and you get a feel for like how to plan and just like how to grade, and you get a good system and a good flow going, just know and be okay with the fact that Sundays are going to be work days. You're going to have a 6-day work week. You're going to be planning for the week ahead on Sunday. You might get lucky and be a really organized person and like be able to get on top of it, but like be okay with at least part of your Sunday being preparing for the week ahead, whether it's lesson planning, whether it's going into your classroom and organizing, whether it's meal prepping, because no one can really afford on a teacher's salary to buy lunch every single day. And like, you're going to want to prep lunches for yourself. Yeah, be okay with Sundays being a work day, or at least partially being a work day. 7, this is gonna sound harsh, but hear me through. If you get to the point where you say, this is it, I can't take it, I wanna quit, maybe you should, but don't do it yet. I say, give yourself a certain amount of time. You know yourself better than I know you, obviously. So like, give yourself a day, give yourself a week, give yourself a month, whatever it is that you might need to like really take it in, because oftentimes teachers who say, I don't think I can do this, I need to quit, it might just be that you are in the wrong position, you're in the wrong school, you are just kind of, or like something just isn't quite going right, that hopefully isn't going to be the thing that makes you leave a profession that is surprisingly hard to get into. Considering all of the stuff that we go through as teachers, you'd think it would be easier to get into this profession, but it's actually quite hard. The reason that I say maybe you should quit is because no human deserves to be miserable every single day, and the kids deserve better than a miserable teacher. A miserable teacher breeds miserable students, right? And miserable students don't like learning, and people who don't like learning aren't going to like school, and therefore are not going to get a very good education. I just think that if you don't want to be there, try to give yourself a certain amount of time to figure out why, and to just kind of let yourself like feel it out. But like I said, you shouldn't hate your job. And I have definitely had days, I've had months, I've had years in this profession where I've been like, I don't know if I can do this anymore. And I like really sat myself down and said, okay, what is it about it? Is it teaching? No, I love teaching. Is it kids? No, I love being with kids. It was the certain mix. It was what was going on in my personal life, like having 3-year-old and a baby on the way, and being a drama teacher was making me miserable because I was stretched too thin. This is where I was before I had my daughter, who's almost 2, and my son was 3 at the time. It was just too much. I was running a theater arts program for a high school, and I am not a person that will do things halfway. So everything was like all out, and I wanted to make it really big, and I wanted to make it legitimate, and we were going to compete, and we were going to festivals and like all of these things. And I was pregnant with my second child, and my husband's a teacher, so we both have the same work hours. So there wasn't a whole lot of like give there. We just had to like figure it out and make it work. And it was too much of a strain, and I was miserable, and I should have been absolutely elated because I had my dream job and my family was working out the way I had always dreamed. And so what I had to do was sit down and say, what else can I do? And so that's why I took that special assignment position that I mentioned earlier. And then now, 2 years out of the classroom gave me a lot of perspective. And now I'm going back into the English classroom, which is what I originally became the teacher to be, an English teacher. And I could not be more excited. I am all in. There is so much fun stuff that I can't wait to do. There's so many things I can't wait to learn. A lot has changed since I was last an English teacher. It's been like 6 years since I was only an English teacher. And so I am so excited. And I didn't quit teaching, and I didn't do the drastic things that definitely went through my mind more than once. But anyway, sorry, long story just to say, if you want to quit, maybe you should, but try and figure out why, because maybe you shouldn't. Maybe you should just change course. Okay? Number 9. This is a really good one. I want you to get to know your custodians. And I don't mean in like the smarmy, like, oh, hi kind of way. I mean, actually get to know the people who are working on your campus, especially your custodial staff. Your custodial staff works their tails off. Even if it seems like they don't, they are vastly underpaid a lot of times and extremely overworked, and they are normally very understaffed. So get to know your custodians. They'll be able to help you figure a lot of stuff out. They'll be able to just give you some tips and tricks. They know a lot of things, and it's just good people. Like, just get to know the people you work with. I mean, the custodians are often working at night because kids are there during the day, but like, as a new teacher, you're going to be in your classroom at night more than once. I can guarantee it. So just get to know the people around you. It's a good idea. You don't have to be afraid to say hi to people. Just say, hi, I'm whoever. It's nice to meet you. Thanks for cleaning my room. I also like to ask my custodians, like if I move to a new room, I like to say, where would you like me to leave the trash cans before I leave? Like, what can I do to make their life easier? I don't need to be like hiding a trash can under my desk in the other corner of the classroom. Like, I can take that trash can to the door so that it's easier to empty. Just ask. It makes life easier, and it develops nice relationships. Number 9. This is a really good tip that will hopefully alleviate a lot of your anxiety, because it's something that I should have heard when I was first teaching. Find out exactly what the procedures are at your school for different things like attendance. Make sure you don't start that first day of school and all of a sudden realize, oh my gosh, I have no idea how to take attendance. I mean, somebody showed me how to sign on, and that's it. Because sometimes they're simple enough systems, but they can be really convoluted until you get to know them. Find out exactly how the health office, like how the nurse or the health tech wants you to send kids up and under what circumstances or what kind of a pass they want you to send. Same thing for the attendance office. Same thing for disciplinary issues. Find out, is it an electronic referral if you're sending a kid up for a discipline issue? What if you just need to send a kid up to ask somebody a question? Should that just be a hall pass? Like, how does everybody want you to work things? I mean, hopefully somebody at your school will be giving you some sort of an orientation with all this information, but number 1, you're going to be really overwhelmed because you just got your first big kid job as a teacher, or you're brand new at a school and you're like, okay, this is a lot of information. Or number 2, so after you've worked at a school for a while, these things become so second nature that you forget to explain them to people, so they might forget to explain that to you. Oh, another thing on that same line is find out where the closest bathroom is to your classroom. Self-explanatory. I think actually that might be the most important piece of advice I can give you. Find out what the closest bathroom is to your classroom, and like what the key code is to get in, or like which key. Make sure you have a key that works for it, because that makes for a really rough morning if it's like the first or second day of school and you have to go because you've had too much coffee, and that could get a little bit interesting. That's my most important tip. Number 10. This is another like self-care piece, because this happens to all of us, and this is probably going to happen to you guys too, but at least I'm trying to help you think about it beforehand. Schedule regular time with your non-teacher world. Schedule time to hang out with your family. Schedule time to hang out with your non-teacher friends. Schedule time where you're not going to break the date, where you get to actually see the people and do the things that are outside of your job that make you feel good and that like heal your soul. Absolutely, I love teaching. I think you can tell how enthusiastic I am about it. But it took me longer than it should have taken to learn that while teaching is a huge part of my life, it is not my life. It is my job. It is my calling to work with kids. But being an educator is part of who I am, but it's not my entire life. And I need to have other parts of my life to make me feel whole. And I need to be able to go to lunch with a couple of my friends, or to hang out with our whole entire family for a couple of days on a little family vacation without any work around me. Schedule those regular plans outside of your job and stick to them as much as you possibly can. And it'll just make you feel less burned out. While you are getting towards, like if you're on the road and you're getting towards that feeling of being burned out, you'd be surprised how little it takes to make you feel better. You don't need a whole entire week of absolutely no work and nothing. I mean, you might at some point, but if you're starting to feel burnout, take the afternoon off. It's going to make you feel a lot better because it's going to put everything into perspective. I wish I had taken that advice myself actually when I was starting out, because I think I probably lost some friends and it's my own fault. I think I probably lost some friends by not maintaining the friendships, because I was like, but the work I'm doing is so important. I'm a teacher. The children need me. Okay, but like, you're not the only teacher they're ever gonna have. And like, yes, the work we are doing is extremely important, but children, students need to have a whole person up in front of them in class. And if you are feeling shattered and scattered and you have had your soul sucked out by the system of education, which is very easy to have happen because when you're so committed, you're just so in it. That teacher that doesn't have like the real pieces of them anymore is not going to do students a whole lot of good, because that is a one-way ticket to burnout and bitter. Having that same passion and that same commitment to education and to your students, but also taking time off and turning your teacher brain off as much as you can. I totally get it. It's like not possible to turn it off completely. And seeing the people that you care about and the people that make you laugh that have nothing to do with the school world makes all the difference in just making you a more well-rounded individual, and well-rounded individuals are happy teachers, and happy teachers make happy kids who can learn. Oh my gosh, this is gonna be a long video. I don't know how I'm gonna edit this down, because I feel like the advice I'm giving is probably some of the best advice I've ever given. I'm like really good at this. You guys, if you stuck through that whole entire thing, thank you very much. I hope that you have found this helpful. I hope that you found this inspiring in some way. Becoming a new teacher can be really scary, because you kind of go, oh my gosh, teachers spend all of their life at work. Like, it's not, you know, kids aren't the only ones who think that we teachers plug ourselves in at night and just stay in our classroom the whole time. The whole world kind of thinks that for a reason. We are intense people, and we get really dedicated to our jobs, and that's a wonderful thing, but you also have to take care of yourself. Hopefully these tips have helped you make like a priority list of setting up your classroom and different questions to ask. Seriously, if you have any other sorts of questions like that, please don't hesitate to leave a comment below. It might take me a couple days, but I do get back to all of my comments. I just have 2 small children, so sometimes answering messages is hard for me, because my daughter likes to take things out of my hand that are electronic and chuck them across the room. She's 2. What are you gonna do? If you enjoyed this video, if you found it helpful, please take a moment and click subscribe and like it so that more videos like this will come up in your feed. I have a lot more really information-packed and hopefully extremely helpful stuff coming out very, very soon on this channel. Also, you need to get yourself a big cup of coffee or a big old iced tea like me, whatever your beverage of choice is. Sit down and go down below, click all of those different links on all the different videos that are part of this collaboration, because I think that will alleviate a lot of anxiety for new teachers out there. It's just the best job ever. So welcome to the ranks. Let me know if you have any questions, and I will see you next time.